All right, is there anybody who wishes to engage in public participation on Zoom or present in the room? Seeing and hearing none. Lynn?
Okay, so tonight we have some administrative actions. Can you back it up to the agenda, please? We have the meeting minutes to review. We also have the monthly invoices as well as a budget update and then OPM contract amendment number 7. Construction update, schedule update, and any matters not anticipated for the agenda. Next, first up is the review of the December 12th, 2024 building committee meetings. Did anybody have any comments?
Here's your motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve was it December 12th? That was the
December
last meeting?
12th.
It was the 12th, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, December 12th, 2024 permanent building committee, school building committee meeting minutes.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion or comments? Hearing none. Is there anybody who opposes approving the meeting minutes?
I have to recuse myself from it.
I didn't ask you. I said, are there anybody who objects or?
Jim has to have the last word, you know that.
Hearing none, the minutes are approved. We don't do the vote.
That was a month ago.
Yeah, I know.
So, the December invoices, we had a total of $5,724,642.49. This included left field's invoice for $145,211.75 and included UTS's invoice of $38,139.75 and bonds invoice $5,541,290.99. I did want to comment that we did receive SMMA's invoice after I had submitted the financials to MSBA. And if you want to consider that payment for, that invoice for payment tonight, we can show that after we go through this invoice summary.
All right, Mr. Tarbell.
I move that we approve left field's invoice for the sum of $145,211.75.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Jason?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Wayne?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Chrissy?
Yes.
Chip?
Yes.
Unanimous.
I move that we approve bond invoice for $5,541,290.99. Chump change.
Chump change. I will second.
Any questions or comments on the jump change? No, hearing none. Jason?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Wayne?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Chrissy?
Yes.
Chip?
Yes.
Unanimous. There goes 5-0.
It always amazes me.
I know.
How quickly and easily we do this. I move that we approve UTS's invoice for $38,139.75.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Jason?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Wayne?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Chrissy?
Yes.
Chip?
Yes.
Unanimous.
So, Mr. Chairman, I also move that we look at SMMA's invoice, even though Helen got it in late.
Tisk.
Since she showed up in person, we will consider it.
That's what you gotta do. I apologize. There were some cross signals. I have
No
no
problem.
good.
Lynn, have you guys vetted it?
I've looked at it and I have to code it. I haven't coded it yet, but I will do that and send that out.
I mean, does the coding?
Yes,
make
no,
any
it's in our anticipated budget.
It is, all right.
So
And
do you
do you have
have
it
it
on the
there?
screen or?
Yeah, it's up now.
It is?
Yeah.
Behind you.
No. Oh, good, I can read.
So if you scroll down a little bit, I just want to get to the total of this invoice. Keep going.
489.
There you go. Oops. Okay. Go back.
Is it the 489
It's the
number?
489.
Yes, there you go. So we have SMMA's invoice for $489,278.64. Plus, that's their base services contract, and go down to the next. We also have consultants totaling $55,457.64, and keep going. And these are the backup for those invoices. So
What's their total? Or do you just want to do it?
489
49 is
total for this.
with consultants, okay. So it's 433 and 55, all right. So I move that we approve SMMA's late invoice for $489,278.64. That was authorized by Helen Fantini.
Because it came in slow, I'll second slow. It's seconded.
Any slow comments? Any late comments? What's the, just for the purposes, what's the 47,000, geotechnical?
That's our geotech consultant. They come out regularly to inspect the rammed aggregate piers, all the ground improvements while they're going in. So they have a budget for that.
Okay,
Yeah, that's all part of it.
and that's all part of it, and nothing unusual in, under that. 40.
nothing outside the anticipated budget.
Okay, all right, just make sure.
So
All
what
right.
I will do is I will.
We're not gonna vote on it first, Lynn, before you do anything.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
There was a second.
There was a second.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm here. I'm on Zoom. So
Here you are.
Hey, Mark.
Is that so for your monthly CA, the 433,000?
That's, it follows a bell curve based on level of effort, and actually December was a 6-week billing period, so this one is higher than you will typically see.
Okay.
So I think in coming months, it levels off to around 300 or
Okay.
even less.
Yeah.
But we tend to ramp up at the beginning where we get a ton of submittals to review, we level off, and then towards the end, we ramp back up for closeout.
You're
So-
doing MEP design as well?
Yeah.
It's architectural. Okay, great. Okay. That's helpful.
All right, any other questions or comments? Jason?
Yep.
John?
Yep.
Wayne?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Chrissy?
Yes.
Chip?
Yes.
Mark?
yes.
Sorry, you do just get on, I missed you before, I didn't. We can't see who's on and off, so that's the reason, all right?
Yeah.
So I will add this to the invoice summary for the town's purposes of paying this. But it will not get reflected in the budget or with MSBA until next month.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay?
and that doesn't affect anything, does it? I mean, just for reimbursements or what?
No, the reimbursement will be staggered, so that's okay.
All right,
So, budget update, we are 92% committed and 21% expended. And we have not touched the owner's construction contingency, which remains at $11,022,969. And our soft cost contingency is at $2,070,078.
okay, and that hasn't been touched either, correct?
We have expended 34,516 of that, and that's for the various services that we've requested.
Okay,
The soft cost contingencies are related to services and design and things like that.
So Lynn, is there any given point that rolls over into owner's construction contingency?
Those two are both owners' contingencies. Both
So,
of those belong to the town. It's
But-
separate
but-
from the GMP construction contingency. It's completely separate.
yeah, but do we have to use the soft cost contingency in any specific way?
Yes, the soft cost contingency is for services, not construction related. I mean, it's for construction, obviously, but it has to do with
But
consultants.
if SMMA charges us something, we take it out of there
Yes,
as an extra. Okay,
yes.
all right.
Well, they better not.
What is the uncommitted budget? What is that?
That's money that we have not committed, and part of that, a large part of that is the $11 million in construct, and the 2 million in soft cost contingency that has not been allocated anywhere. So 13,000 of that is in contingencies that have not been committed.
And then is the other 9 just like subcontracts that you guys haven't awarded yet? Trades that you haven't bought
The
out?
others have to do with,
Started with
there's
FF&E.
4,300,000 in furnishings and technology. We haven't gotten to that point of procuring those, so that remains as uncommitted at this point. There's 350 in utility company fees uncommitted, and there's 400,000, which typically is moving and certain things like that, that is uncommitted. So it's those that we anticipate using at some point, but it's later in the project and we haven't committed it yet.
And when, speaking of just contingencies, we got a copy today of the GMP contingency.
Yes,
Okay. And just for the first information, the balance remaining for that is 7,300,000.
yes. And that's what we had said before, and part of the reason why we moved that alternate money into the GMP. It is our intention and hope to make it through construction with, doing the whole project within the GMP without having any external change orders.
And just for,
Yeah,
well,
that might not happen. We've requested a couple things that we may have to take out of.
It will happen.
Yeah.
and that was the roundabout, right? The road? Lynn,
What?
that was the road, correct?
Yeah, it was the road money that we put back into the construction budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just for your information.
You can see it here on the slide if it was bigger. Our original construction budget was 220,459,379, and it was
There we go. Now I could really see.
it was increased. You see the alternate in the project for the road work. We moved it up into the construction budget, the 3.4 million. So that's why our construction budget is 223,897,739 now. And we did that so that we could maximize reimbursement by keeping all changes within the GMP.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Do we want to
Yeah.
see going forward? Do we want to see the GMP contingency that's being held by bond within this?
Yes, you should have received where we're at and what has been expended in your packets.
Yeah, Lynn?
Yeah,
You should,
okay.
Chris? Is it Chris?
yes,
He sent it out, but he didn't send it out to the whole committee.
Okay. we can throw it up on the screen if you want.
Yeah, why don't you, the status of
Yeah, I
the
have it.
whole.
I can. I have it open if you want to give me the controls.
It was he sent a status of the holds, allowances and contingencies.
Oh, that's always.
And it
helpful.
it didn't go to everybody.
As we move on, now that we're starting to use some of those allowances and holds, I will do a summary sheet for the presentation for next month.
Okay,
And it'll just be typically where we are with the GMP contingency, where we are with the holes, allowances, and
Right,
what's
right.
left to spend.
yeah.
So if you look at that, the 7,905,000 is what is left for contingencies with that supplemental, that 3.4 million as well. If you look at, there's these columns, and we can share this with everyone. I just wanted to send it through the working group first, but here's previously approved SOVs on this column. This is what we're going to look at tonight. there's 4 contingency items in there in this bucket of 163,000 for approval. And then you have GMP allowances, which we have 1.289 million left. And then holds, we have 3.157 million left. So these are all pockets of money for scope that we anticipate spending, and we'll track them, and as they get used or whatever's left, we'll close them out here in this column. So there's a couple that have been closed already with a few dollars left. So
Okay,
All right, just make sure, Chris, when it goes out to everybody, okay?
absolutely, yep. Yeah, that's my fault too, because I was out last week and I was away last week and I updated it earlier this week. So I just wanted to get it to you guys first, and then we'll figure out. But knowing that, we'll get it to everyone going forward.
Yeah, I meant to let you know today, but I got busy. All right?
Yeah.
Any questions anybody have? Comments, anything? We're doing good. Okay. Hey. Hey.
moving along.
All right.
I'm gonna stop sharing now. So Tim, if you want to take it back over.
So the next is a review and approval of the OPM contract amendment number 7.
Can you go to the next? Just quickly on the cash flow, we're tracking ahead of what we had projected, and that's because the schedule is ahead at this point. So next.
Lynn, who do you communicate with at town hall for this?
So I provided them a cash flow at the beginning of the job, so they have that. And then I also provided them an estimated reimbursement schedule so that they could know when to bond and, because they'll, do several bonds throughout the course of construction.
So we're not that far ahead.
No, we're really not.
Okay.
First bond was right.
Yeah.
And there's some contingency built into it, so it's not like we're gonna run out any money.
And we're getting a
Bond
reimbursement.
about, any bond. We won't run out of it before they bond again.
Yeah, and we're getting reimbursements outside of a bond.
We're
right?
getting good reimbursements on a monthly basis. So the town's been really good about, providing the payment summaries, and we're getting them in on time, and we've got a good monthly influx of reimbursement every month, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
offsetting, the use of bond money.
I get the sign going out and get the sign coming in too. Like the ladder.
Yeah.
All right,
It's a nice flow right now. So we have left field OPM contract amendment number 7. This is for the printing of the programs and all for the topping off ceremony. And again, this is not any extra money. It's just a mechanism so that left field can pay for it. But we do have a budget for advertising and printing, and this is being billed against that budget. But because the town's not paying for it and left field is paying for it, is the reason for a contract amendment, just so that they, that they can, we can pay it and get reimbursed for it.
So you want us to approve all $211.75?
If you don't mind.
You guys can't just eat this cost, Lynn? I mean, come on.
I move to approve left field OPM's contract amendment number 7 for the sum of $211.75.
I will second that.
That keeps the budget reconciled.
all right. Any comments?
Are these contract amendments filed somewhere that if we ever wanted to go back at some point, to look
Yes.
through, how do we access the contract amendments?
Well, they get filed at MSBA, and I mean, I could put them on Procore maybe, but if you you ask me, I can always give them to you.
Okay, I don't know if there was a general document library we had access to during this project.
I can create one on our server if you want us to. I can create a share folder.
That might not be a bad idea.
I don't know,
Yeah,
I don't know.
sure. Why not?
In
Why
2
not?
years, I don't know where we'll be with all these, and if we ever need to look at it. I was just wondering where they all ended up, so I'm
Yeah,
okay.
we can create a share folder if that's what you want.
Do that.
Oh, Jason wants a shared folder.
That's right. It's easy enough to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Any other questions or comments?
it's easy to do.
It is easy. It'll be fine.
Because he knows what he's doing,
I know.
rather than some of us.
So there's a
He'll
sec,
have to share it with us.
there's a second on the
He has
table.
to teach us how to do it.
I can do that.
Let's go. Any other comments? Hearing none. Jason,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Chrissy,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Yes.
Unanimous.
The next is a review and approval of internal change order number 6.
So, this is a $0 internal change. It's just utilizing, the GMP contingency allowance and allowances. So we indicated in red here, which were GMP contingency usage, as well as which were allowance usage and which allowance number it was drawing from. And these are the amounts that were actually drawn from those various pockets of money.
I can tell you that the working group looked at this at our last meeting, went through each one of these and had no problems with them.
So this is just
That's-
moving money around is all we're doing within different columns.
Contingencies and
Gotcha.
allowance.
All of the contingencies.
Yep.
It's already, that sheet you saw before of the contingencies, this has already been taken out.
Yeah, and this, all the money that the budgets that this is coming from is already established in the construction budget. So we're not adding to the cost of the construction.
That's the zero.
Gotcha.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, just wondering, I guess, how do you decide if it's contingency versus an allowance for a specific thing? Is it just all about the reimbursable line item for the cost? or-
So if we have a named allowance for, like, say, example, the organic field export, we had an allowance for that. We did, because we couldn't quantify at the time of the GMP how much it would be. So we put an allowance in, and we are drawing from that allowance number 11. Same with the, we knew we were likely to encounter ledge at some point, but you couldn't quantify it, so we put an allowance number in there, and we draw from that allowance as we, encounter ledge and have to remove it.
Got it, okay.
Contingency, typically, we use contingency for, like, we've put this project out to bid before drawings were 100%. Once they're 100%, you got to go back and, there's going to be slight changes or revisions that are needed in order to match up to the 100% construction documents. So that's what you'll see here, using contingency for that.
Thanks.
What does ILO stand for?
In lieu of? Correct?
Correct.
Yes.
And I guess this question is more for Helen or Helen and Lynn. Once we see one, like plumbing revisions due to coordination with architectural drawings for 43,000, do we expect not to see another line item like that again? Like this doesn't, right? This gets their dollars in line.
Yeah, so as you remember, both plumbing and electrical were bid before we bid the 100% drawings.
Yep.
So this is, coordinations in order to catch up to that.
Which is fine. I'm just saying, we
should
won't see another one, right?
Not
Yeah,
We
like-
shouldn't unless it was just something unforeseen.
So these two are animals of a similar color in the sense that, yes, they happened after we went out to bid, and after addenda occurred, therefore the numbers came in before some of these changes could be reconciled properly. So those first two on the list are very much that category. I'm never gonna say never say never.
I didn't
I
think you
just
would.
said it, never say never. Plumbing, we feel like, by and large, after this comprehensive review, and yes, we actually did another quality control review of the drawings after they went out to bid, to capture some things, related to acid piping and stormwater. I know we brought one question to this group to make sure we were meeting your standards and needs. Electrically same, however, we do have our electrical engineer on. There is one change that we're aware of coming down the pike. And I don't know if Nick, you want to talk to that a little bit? That is the result of refrigerant changes in the industry and upsizing of mechanical equipment. Not going to affect the mechanical equipment per se, but it does affect electrical's response to it. So I don't know, Nick, are you on?
Yeah, hi, this is Nick Frazaka from IMEG. I was the electrical engineer, and we have seen this on a few jobs that were bid in this period of time, kind of before, kind of designed late in 2023, early 2024, and then you know, starting up now. The refrigerants for a lot of the VRF systems, the refrigerant type has changed. And what that did is affect the compressor sizes. So we're seeing this on other jobs where they were designed. We have, you know, SMA has catalog cuts and equipment selections with ampacities and everything in their files. Everything was based on that. But fast forward 6 months later, the refrigerant change has increased the compressor sizes. So that increased the ampacity sizes for a number of the units. So we've gone through and you know, we have a proposal request for that right now. We've done extensive work to itemize the bid condition versus the you know, the design condition, and we'll, you know, heavily analyze the changes that come in. But yes, that is the change that is coming down.
And how, I mean, should we be holding onto our seats when that change comes down? Or is it not that significant?
Well, we own power to everything, but the change was, you know, it did add quite a bit of power. So I think it's, you know, we had to shuffle balance some panels, you know, shifting where certain things were fed from to help balance the loads, as well as increase a few panel sizes. But again, these are all increases in already owned conduit and wiring. And we will, you know, you know, track it very heavily on how those get done. But this is something we've had on a number of jobs right now that during this bid period. We have this on, you know, a few other projects, the same thing. And just, you know, to reassure you, I know I've personally talked to the vendors involved, you know, when was this known? How would we have known it? They're all, you know, saying we didn't know it until, you know, we could get this, till these selections were actually run through their systems. So it's unfortunately an industry reflection, a reflection of what's happening in the industry right now.
So you really didn't answer my question.
Oh, in terms of, I'm sorry, can you repeat? Are you saying, is it going to be a big number?
Value is going to be to this, or do you have no idea at this point?
I did not do an analysis. I am not an estimator. I mean, I could do a means electrical cost database, but the contractors don't use that really, and it's usually, you know, usually means is overestimating the costs. So
all right, well,
I don't have enough.
We'll wait with bated breath.
Yeah, I understand.
Does it mean we have to change any of the equipment?
Well, and it's a good question, because we did pre-purchase a number of the panel boards. This did not affect any of the pre-purchased panel boards. It affected a few of the pre-purchased circuit breakers, which is a different item. And we did look at the impacts of those circuit breakers, and it's minimal. It's this, I don't want to get into the weeds of, you know, how circuit breakers are priced, and you know, unless you want me to, but in general, the frame, call it the frame of the circuit breaker, remain the same, but some of the trip sizes changes, and that's less of an impact.
I was just gonna ask if there's any structural changes But it sounds like if mechanical is staying the same size, then you don't need any of it.
Correct, yeah, that, it really does not affect the weights and dimensions. It's really about the motor sizes, which is a small part of the HVAC equipment.
Okay,
Just a question on the last listing, on that 6-7, are we anticipating any blasting?
No blast.
no,
Our foundations are all done.
they're done.
You never know.
Well, I hope not if we.
If we get
got some
blasted out.
blasting
So I wanted to
not
blast,
meant to occur. You mean scheduled blasting, not accidental.
We're all having a blast.
so Wayne, I wanted to blast, but I got overruled.
It's a little blasting, little blasting, a lot of blasting, little blasting.
All right.
It
All
took
right,
a long
so-
time to get through the ledge.
Yeah.
Encountered.
Any other questions or comments regarding, internal change order number 6? None. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the internal change order number 6 as presented.
Second,
Any further questions, comments? Jason,
yes.
John,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes,
Bill,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Chrissy,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
All right. Next is a construction update.
I'll take that.
Oh, well, I hope, I mean, you're the only one here. You want us to do it?
So this photo, you can see, this is the topping off beam, painted white, it's all signed by, students and people from the town. And then this is a picture of kind of the loading dock area, kind of getting, the stale over it. This is one of the slab on decks that we poured. I can't really tell by that. I think that looks like
Building C level 3
Three.
slab.
oh, thank you very much.
I see that building C level 3, you don't know that?
Jason should do it.
And I missed the walkthrough.
It's pretty obvious.
Okay, this is a kind of like in action pour of the concrete. That is C as well. Unfortunately, we had to stop this pour because it was too cold out and it was getting jammed up in the lines, but we managed to get a clean break and finish it off. You can see the subgrade prep in B, we kind of finished up all the underground. Now the site contract comes in, brings sanding bed and brings up the level to get ready for vapor barrier, slab installation, and then hopefully in the next couple of weeks pouring slab on grades. You can see this is the underground electrical going to the main electric room.
A PVC,
Yes.
What's that?
PVC, I was just asking.
Okay, construction update, kind of high level. So right now we have Lanco back on site. They're topping building D, so we can start heating that as we get through slabs on C. We'll go into D. Once they're done with that, they're gonna be going to building E, the auditorium, and wrapping that. Brennan Consultants on site, setting control, building C on the slabs that we have poured so far. Keller is gonna probably a day or two more on the micro piles at the stage area in building E. Quigley, they're chasing the utilities in the building, prepping, bringing up the area A and B to grade so we can start pouring those 7 grades like I mentioned. Utilities is ongoing, with wrapping up B and hopefully getting into C underground shortly. We excavated and installed a temp drain around the wraps in the kind of like the courtyard area so we could bring that grade up and not have any issues with those wraps that are installed from frost. Marshall is working on the transformer pads for the main transformer pads to get those set, so we can set the transformers. Working through slabs on deck, and trying to get after some slab on grades, like I mentioned. Lighthouse Masonry is mobilizing, it looks like in a couple weeks, but got a call today that they're gonna mobilize next week, so we're gonna be building that load bearing wall in the loading dock, so we can finish off the steel in building F. Norgate is currently just setting irons on building E ahead of top, so we can get ahead of that, and then they'll fall back and detail building D. They're gonna be installing the roof beams and decking on the elevator shafts ahead of masonry, so we can get somewhat weather tight. And then Roman Iron is gonna be on site next week, starting doing some brick anchors, and then hopefully they'll be ready to go once we have a slab on graded A, we can get that stair going.
About what percentage of steel is done right now?
We're like at, I would say 95%, we're working through detailing, and then we have those few beams to get done once the mason's done with that little bearing wall.
So probably by the end of January, steel will be done?
Yeah.
All right.
But it might trickle in, like making adjustments on the irons, because we gotta do that with the tops down, and we're trying to coordinate that, but majority of the steel will be done. Century Drywall has been on site for a couple of weeks. They're laying out on the decks that we have poured. They're working on framing the mock-up that started this week, which is exciting. And then just kind of working through details on the exterior framing, once we have the tops down in building A and the irons adjusted. Island fireproofing has started, I think that we're on our third week for them. They're working through the slab on decks that we have poured. They're going A, B, and C. They'll drop down to level 1 once we have that poured, and follow that through. Greenwood, we're anticipating them starting on 127, so that's exciting to kind of get weather tight. And then, as I mentioned, working through mechanical underground.
Is there someone that determines if it's too cold to pour concrete? Is there someone that keeps an eye on the temperature?
Bond and
The inspector, UTS, right?
Our inspectors do that.
Just a fair question. It's gonna be really cold next week.
Yeah, besides that one slab, have you been held up by anything else because of the last like 2 weeks of real cold weather, or?
no, just that slab. It's a kind of an issue with the lightweight normal concrete. Normal we can, or lightweight we're having issues with because it's lighter density.
Any issues with testing?
All right.
Okay,
Right?
well done.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks. Any questions, or?
We still gonna open on time?
No, we're gonna early, 6 months early.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we want 3.
No promise.
Nobody can comment that we are ahead of schedule.
I said on
I
time.
know you didn't, someone else did.
No one in this room.
No, no one in this room. All right,
Very cool.
Lynn, is that,
That's our next PBC meeting is scheduled for the tour, I mean, is scheduled for February 6th with our next meeting on February 13th.
right?
Tours at 3:30?
Yes,
We're gonna
Okay,
meet, we're gonna meet here on the 13th?
Yes.
yes,
the trailer.
from now on.
Before Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Before we adjourn, there's one other thing that I have been discussing with Mr. Tarbell, Mr. Renzi, Helen, and Dr. Lyons. And it has to do with something I thought about over the holidays to somehow implement or to show some of them are nationally prominent individuals who have lived or resided here in Wakefield. And to have some kind of display about them in the school, and regarding their various specialties, to give, whether it be inspiration for the students, whatever. And I'm not talking about locally prominent, I'm talking about nationally prominent individuals.
Is that Chip?
I think he's talking about himself, actually, but Joe, I think, I don't know, really.
For example, one of the, I guess you call it the father of modern architecture in the United States, who was the mentor to Frank Lloyd Wright, is Louis Sullivan, who lived for a period of time at the corner of Prospect and Chestnut Street and went to the Little Red Schoolhouse. He did not like it, though, I'm just telling you. However, an extremely prominent individual in the field, he went to Chicago after the Chicago fire and built some buildings, which I know I've seen not only in Chicago and St. Louis, that are most magnificent things you've ever seen. It is just amazing. And this guy was here, and he was a student here. And I thought that I talked to Helen and to Lynn about him, and that maybe like in the art department or somehow this is just something that we can develop. There is a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ernest Tyzer, Tyzzer. Dr. Tyzer, and he lived on Wiley Street, right next to the high school. One of the leading cancer scientists in the country, was one of the founders of the American Cancer Society and in cancer prevention. Lived right here on his whole life in Wakefield, right next to the high school.
It's a great idea, Joe.
Dr. Also John Volpe, Governor of Massachusetts, Secretary of Transportation under Nixon.
Ruth Graves Wakefield. She invented the chocolate chip cookie, is from Wakefield.
Oh my God, she's gotta be number one.
I just Googled that.
How about Cyrus Week? How about Cyrus Week?
Now, I am not done. Wayne.
Wakefield, yeah.
Russell Banks is a novelist, graduate of Wakefield High School in 1958. He has several, a really accomplished novelist and made into movies and all that stuff. You'd also not just speak for General Galvin for the fact that he was the general, he's also an historian. He's written numerous historic books about revolutionary Boston, and he could be acknowledged for that. These are just some of the people. Cyrus Wakefield, obviously, maybe people remember, that's why we're called this. Elizabeth Boyd, who ran the, which is next to the train station there, which is now the condos or wherever they are, but that was a factory at one time. She owned it. In the 19th century, a woman owned it. She was one of the first women directors of a bank in the United States. And she has that house up on the west side with the Spanish, Elizabeth. For other, Buffy St. Marie, maybe some people don't know she was a folk singer, prominent folk singer in the 60s. And there was also a gentleman who was a peace activist who was one, I don't know if you folks remember, you probably don't or have seen this, one of the Chicago Seven, who was tried for the riots, David Dellinger. He lived in Wakefield, grew up in Wakefield. He actually grew up in the house. So that's an idea that I had that I think we can develop not only just amongst ourselves, but also with the faculty and the students to do something like that. I just think, I don't know.
Do you think we have enough room in the building?
Careful.
Inspiration wall.
I think it would be cool.
I don't know.
Maybe we can find someone who did something famous in the last 40 years, though. Gotta be some famous people.
He's the guy in the NBA the other
Yeah.
night. They were showing the Wakefield logo on the end, on the.
Bruce Brown, yeah.
Oh, Bobby Brown. That's right.
Bruce Brown. He has the old logo. on the cap.
Bobby Brown is the
Not
singer.
Bobby Brown.
Bruce
No,
Brown.
who's the
Bruce Brown.
basketball player?
Bruce Brown.
Bruce Brown.
Oh, okay, Bruce Brown. I never,
Yeah,
They
they were
showed it
showing,
on
they
the
were
inside.
showing his Wakefield logo.
Yes.
Scalabrini mentioned.
and that's perfect for like the sports area, in the sports, in the athletic area.
Ruth praised Wakefield is from Walpole. She just had the last name Wakefield, the chocolate chip cookies.
You know, Phil, you gotta stop thinking about food, for God's sake. The whole night you've been talking about sirloin and now chocolate chip cookies. I don't know.
Dessert.
All right?
I personally think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's a
me
great
too.
idea.
I think you should run with it.
Yeah, Joe, run with it.
I mean, if everybody thinks, all right.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, whether it's brass plaques or,
A wall.
you can have your, which group is it?
Environmental graphic design.
That
There you
group.
go.
Yes.
That group,
Yeah,
think
no,
about
there's-
how to incorporate.
Yeah.
Exactly, whether it's one location or we have environmental graphics throughout the building, so, you know, one's
I love
to
having it.
science or
My
maybe with
ideas around the
science.
building.
Get like walk of
Yeah.
fame, like plaques
Yeah.
built into the floor as you walk around.
Could this be something that you can engage the students to try and like help build, you know,
not
come
a
up
bad
with?
idea.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I talked, when I talked to Dr. Lyons, he thought that as well, that maybe we can get, you know, some of the students involved and, you know, actually working, doing the biographies of these
Yeah, that's what I was
individuals,
thinking,
because
yeah.
they're really, these people are quite fascinating. I mean, you know, obviously I got these from somebody who knows the history of the town.
Your wife,
Yes.
I can see it now, that there'll be, how come such and such is left on? How come such and such was put on?
Well, that is one of the problems,
Yeah.
that as people think
Yeah.
about it, they'll be,
Yeah, there
how
will
did
be
we
something.
pick this person
10,
versus
20.
that?
But it has to be, I don't want to have it, I did not want to think to have it locally prominent. That's not the point. The point would be nationally prominent,
Right.
and you have a national,
Right.
not just a local.
But the question's gonna be is how did that get determined? But I don't care. I mean, there'll be cool people, so.
I don't think anybody would have any problems with most of the people
Oh,
would
trust
name.
me, some
You're a
people-
lawyer.
Instead of being like a Hall of Fame or whatever, you're thinking it's like an inspiration hall. Or something like that.
Yeah.
Get away from.
And it's not necessarily they went to the high school. I mean, that, you know,
Well,
That's
It's
a
a
bonus.
leg
you
up.
might wanna do that.
you know, there are people that went to the high school, but not everyone went to the high school. It's just anybody who has lived or resided in the town.
That's a good idea.
All right, okay, all right. All right,
They're just thinking about that. Are there naming conventions for the larger spaces within the high school? Like the auditorium, is that already named after somebody? No? Okay.
are there?
So the theater will be named the Savings Bank Theater again, because it got moved over.
Okay,
But we're not a private institution,
yeah,
much to my chagrin.
okay.
I have a price tag on every room and every chair.
Mhm.
I went to private school. I
Yeah,
know how it works,
Yep.
but we haven't figured out a way to monetize it quite yet.
okay.
There are existing names for some of them. I mean, the library.
Well, Volpe has.
Well, he has a room. Volpe has a room. Archives room. But the library had a name, I think, as I recall, when we.
Not that we've talked,
No.
the only one that we've talked about is the theater carrying that over.
That all didn't town council pass a new policy last year?
Yes, they have to
About
be
naming.
involved.
Yeah, Phil, if I could, and Joe, if I could just jump in on that, I did want to mention that there is an existing naming policy that does cover the schools as well, that falls under the purview of the town council. You know, to the extent that we do talk about naming something else, I think we'd want to activate that. That does include consultation with the school committee as
That
well.
has nothing to do with this that I'm talking about.
No,
No, it has nothing to, if we're
Has
talking
nothing to
about,
do
this
with
is to
it.
the question if we were talking about naming like a room or something, but absolutely no, has nothing to do with, you know, kind of a Hall of Fame or a Hall of Inspiration or something like that. But if we decided to name, you know, if we decided that we wanted to name, for example, the auditorium after Buffy St. Marie, that's something that we would activate the policy for.
But
She
the
didn't
town,
recognize she lived here. She thought she didn't live here.
but Jonathan, the town doesn't go out and I'd call fundraise or publicly
Sell rights
look
to.
or sell naming rights.
Correct.
Is there, but Chip, is there maybe opportunity in the theater, right? Because that's,
Well, the
right now,
theater,
there's names on seats, right?
Yeah.
There's gonna be more
Yeah.
seats,
those are being transferred.
Those are
but there's
being,
more seats now, right?
yes,
Maybe there's an opportunity there for something.
it could be.
Yeah.
But we're making sure that the names on all the seats
Move over, yeah.
move over.
They'll be recreated, the nameplates will be
Okay,
recreated.
okay.
Right, no, I mean, the names,
I just wanna
the
be clear.
name will move
New
over. I
chairs.
didn't mean the.
Yes,
Yeah. But maybe there's something there.
So so the question is, and I guess where I fall back on it is that, that typically happens prior to building something, right? We've funded this building.
Yeah.
So where does that money then go?
Scholarship fund or something.
There could be something, so,
Maintenance of the building.
the chairs on the plaques for the Black Box Theater was to raise money for that theater. And a couple people did a couple hours of stuff, and they always want to get mentioned, but, sorry.
Talking about.
But we don't typically.
Right.
Cause
But the permanent building committee built that. That was one of our first, jobs that we had.
greater than $100,000.
It was $100,000. It was not much more than that.
All right.
Yeah. Anything else? All right, anything else, anybody? A motion to adjourn, and so, everybody's in favor?
Great meeting.
Thank you, good night.
Click.